Okay, so the ceiling and wall is done. Today I'm going to show you how to plaster an existing wall. I'm going to show you everything. This is a full tutorial. I'm going to show you how to fit the beads. I'm going to show you how to prepare your wall before plastering. I'm going to show you how to turn this disgusting, ugly wall into a masterpiece. Existing wall. I've never really gone into detail on this subject, but I'm going to go into major uphaul on it today. So I'm going to mention everything, including the main important aspects of dealing with an existing wall, which is preparation. So first off, I'm just going to deal with a few things. I'm going to deal with chase back boxes, what to put on the wall before you start plastering, and how to start getting these beads fitted so they bang on. Let's crack on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is got to deal with any cracks or any situations where it might create a few problems in the future. So if you have got any cracks in your wall, then what we've got to do is use this. This is scrim tape. This is basically fiberglass mesh that you put over any areas that are cracked. In this case, we've had some cables cut back and put into the wall. Them sections you want to put some scrim tape on. Got the orange stuff so you can see exactly where I'm using it. Cut that back, simple process. And you want to do both sides of the joint. And what this does, if there is any movement, it's going to stop it from showing through and cracking the finished plaster, which it will do. There's also a few cracks here. Often under your windows, this is a high spot for crackage in an existing wall. Where a lot of the pressure is. Corners of the windows is cracks. Is often pulls away. So always check the edges of your windows and your frames. Just apply scrim tape wherever it's needed. And obviously before you start any work, tap your walls. If there's any areas where the wall feels like it's a bit hollow, then you have to hack it off and start again. You don't really want to be plastering onto a drummy surface. This is rock solid everywhere. So first of all, cover your cracks up, but more importantly, check that you haven't got a wall that's really badly hollow or a wall that's basically going to be unsafe to plaster on. So that's the first thing you want to do. Next bit. Now, this is one of the most important things with dealing with an existing wall. We've got to use this. This is PVA. It's not the same stuff they use with kids whilst we were drawing boards. This is for building. So this is an adhesive, primer and sealer. This is what's going to stop your wall pulling all the moisture from your plaster. If you don't use this, it'll literally, you'll put the plaster on the wall, it'll pull the moisture out and it'll crack. So this is basically a primer and it also acts as a retardant so the plaster will not set. So, all you do, put your PVA in a bucket, mix it with water, nothing complicated, and you want 3 parts water to 1 part PVA. And I always recommend 2 coats. This has already had a coat on. It's dried completely. You can tell it's not wet. What we want to do, now I've got the scrim tape on, not the other way around. Scrim tape won't stick to wet PVA. Now the scrim tape's on, just whack that PVA on the wall. Don't be shy, just literally whack it on. That's it, whack it everywhere. And like I said, this is going to stop the plaster from setting too fast. If it sets too fast, you won't have time to work with it, you won't have time to flatten it, you won't have time to get it to a nice smooth finish. So literally spread this all over your wall. I've got some bonding which is an undercoat plaster, you want to spread it on there as well. Spread it all over. Don't be shy, put it everywhere. That's tip number 2. So the PVA is all over the wall. But whilst we're waiting for that to dry, I just wanted to quickly talk to you about this. This is the plaster we're using. This is British Gypsum multi-finish for a wide range of common backgrounds. Basically saying you can work on anything. Existing walls, plasterboards, bonding, which is that stuff in the corner. We can use it on all sorts. So this is the plaster we're going to be using. And this is also the stuff I'm going to be using to stick the corner beads on with. It's a little hack, it's a little trick, I'm going to show it you right now. Okay, so this is the corner bead. This is what you use to fix onto any existing angle. You can use this on plasterboard, existing walls like this, you can use it on cement, sand cement. But the idea is all the same. It's basically you fix this to your corner, so then it gives you a profile to plaster towards. So the way you deal with this is you measure. So I've got 870. Take your 870. And then you want to use this. This is a set of tin snips. This is what we use to cut the corner beads in. This is thin line corner bead, so this is only used for overskinning. Take your 870. So you do is cut it in the middle, and you just snap it. Easy. Check it fits. I've mixed a little bit of multi-finish plaster we're going to be using. Because we're using it to plaster the wall anyway, I've mixed a tiny bit. You want it quite thick, you want the consistency to be thick enough to hold its own weight. Basically just mix it by hand, just get a tiny bit, put it on the corners, stick it on like that, all along the corner, and you want to aim so they're blobbing out towards the outer edge. And then get rid of the excess, stick it on where you need it, push it in hard. Then what you'll see is the excess, push that right in. And then we trowel the excess plaster off from the bead. And that is it. Clean the edges with your fingers if you wish. That's it, it's stuck. That's absolutely fine now. Give it about 10 minutes and you can plaster directly onto that corner knowing it's stuck firmly. So that's trick number 3. So, one of the biggest tricks and one of the biggest rules you need to realise is you need to wait for PVA to dry. So, the least you want is for it to be tacky. So at the moment it's actually quite dry. It's quite a tiny bit sticky. That's a very good time to start plastering it. You don't want to plaster when the PVA is still wet though. If the PVA is still wet and it's dripping down the wall, then what you'll find is it'll mix with the plaster when you're applying it and it'll make it slimy. What you'll find is air bubbles start to appear in the plaster, you get air pockets. So the minimum you want the PVA to be tacky, but to be completely 100% certain, put it on, give it a touch test, that's nice. It's actually quite dry, it's a good time. Even better time if you're unsure, if you just don't want to get it wrong, wait till the next day. That way you know it's guaranteed to be completely 100% dry. But to be fair, if you give it a touch test, it's tacky, that is the perfect time to do it. So now what I'm going to do is going to mix the plaster, and I'm going to show you exactly start to finish how to get the plaster on the wall, how to flatten it, and then how to smooth it to a nice smooth finish. So I'll show you all that now. We're going to need a few tools. I'm going to need a bucket trowel, hawk, or as some people call it, handboard, and then a trowel. This is a Marshalltown Perma shape. This is probably one of the best trowels anyone can buy. It's an all-rounder, it's ideal for applying and smoothing plaster. It is the go-to. Now here's a few optional tools. This is a Super Flex trowel. This is what I highly recommend. Flexi trowel, highly recommend it because it makes life a lot easier. And this is a plastic trowel that's solely for finishing. Now I will show you how to use these tools. These two are optional. These, there's no debate about this. This is a minimum you're going to need. A bucket trowel, hawk, and a trowel. We're also going to need a bucket to mix the plaster in with, a mixer, and obviously the plaster. So, let's do it. Got a plaster mix. Again, I'm not actually going to show you the full version of that in this tutorial. Actually, if you do want to know about that, sign up to our free welcome course, and that's in email free. Basically how it works is I send you daily emails with lessons every day on how to start learning the art of plastering, and that's email free. I'll show you how to mix plaster completely, show you again which plaster to use and how much water to use with it. So stay in touch to the end of this video to find out how to get involved with that, and I'll explain that in more detail. But for now, what I want you to do is take your plaster, give it a little roll around on your hawk and trowel, get a bit on there, and we're going to start applying it. So, this is a 2-coat system, which means we're going to apply 2 coats of plaster to the wall. First coat goes on, and then you put the second coat directly onto that. So when you're plastering, I am right-handed, you always work opposites. So because I'm right-handed, I'm going to work left to right. And in theory, and what I recommend if you're new or starting out, always start at the top. So we're going to start at the top left and work across. Right, 2 warnings. 1, I'm in my dressing gown. 2, the next clip, I'm slightly out of the picture, my head's out of the picture, but don't worry, everything in that clip is repeated further on in detail. So watch it for now, look how I applied plaster and just pay attention to how I'm getting the plaster on the wall. And then a few minutes later in the next clip, when I'm applying the second coat of plaster, I'll show you in detail how I get it done. Carry on watching, cheers. When you mix, you don't want it too sloppy, just put it on. What I'm going to do is start to the left of the wall. Left of the wall, bring it across. Start from the left edge, bringing it in. And the aim is to try and get the plaster as flat as you can. So you just put it on, but don't waste too much time when you're applying plaster, because we've got so much time in between to flatten it. Our main aim is just get it on the wall. And to apply the plaster, you've got 25 to 30 minutes to apply your first coat. So that's a quick tip to know. Again, start in the top left. Work from the top. Now you work from the top. And one of the tricks you've got to get used to is putting the plaster on the trowel and bringing it down. This is a few of the tips we're going to use, but you bring it to the top and you trowel it down. That's one of the big tactics. Big tactic to learn. Top, you bring it down. And that's how you apply your first coat. For the top left hand, put it to the top of the wall, bring it down. Moving on. Now the wall's nice and sticky, it's quite nice to apply the plaster onto actually. Because it's tacky, it's the perfect time to apply it. Okay, so you've got the top half done. It works across left to right. When you get all the way to the end, come down and just do the process again. We're going to start to the left, the same thing, same process. Bring the plaster to the left side of your trowel, dig it into the corner and come across. Now, sideward sweeps is quite hard to get used to at first, but it's essential in plastering. So, worth practicing. Take care around your back boxes. And you're just putting a nice, generous application of plaster on. Go all the way to the bottom. Load up. And now, the next part, you want to take your trowel to the bottom of your, take the plaster to the bottom of your trowel, come into the bottom, and you're coming all the way up. Now, when you start out, you might only come to the third way. Good system is start the third way, load up and start again. So I'll show you the full way. Take some plaster. Cut the plaster off the hawk. This is a full sweep, going from the bottom all the way up. This is what you want to strive to learn. This is the fastest way to apply plaster, and that's what you want to strive to get to. Now the other way, you can do it in thirds. Start about a third way up the wall, come up, meet into the line where you come to the thirds from the top, and do that again. And then to meet, come all the way to the bottom, and then meet to that third section there. Now, if you're starting out, you can try with that way, but the aim, the end goal, is to aim for the full sweep. That's the best way to apply plaster. So now I'm just going to show you the last bit with full sweeps. Avoiding your back boxes. If you get a bit of plaster in your back box, leave it for now. We can clean it out after. It's absolutely fine. Now it takes practice to learn these techniques, but with time you will get there. Just give it a go and practice doing the thirds at first. So the plaster is on the wall. The second stage to applying and getting the wall done is you want to flatten that first coat of plaster. And I'm going to show you a tool that I recommend to anyone, whether you're a beginner or you've been plastering for years. This is the Ox Speed Skim. As you can see, it looks beaten up. I use it all the time. It looks abused, but I love it to bits. Now I'll show you a quick way to flatten it. You want to start top left, same process as if you're working, and you literally just swipe it across. You can see how smooth that's got it already. Jack the cables, and then we're going to work same in the middle. Look at that, really takes all the hard work out of it. So we've gone across, now we also want to go up. Start from the bottom all the way up. Now this is a game changer. This is the Speed Skim ST. It's a plastic blade which has slightly increased setting time of plaster. Beware of that, but in general you save minutes and minutes on end. So this is a must for anyone who's plastering. So that is us flattening the first coat of plaster. I'm going to completely flatten this wall, and then what I want to do is apply a second coat. I'll finish that now. Okay, so I've flattened the wall. Quick tip, always clean your tools in between applying plaster. It's just good practice, keeps everything clean and fresh when it comes to using it. It's nothing worse than when you're rushing, you've got dirty handles, dirty trowels, dirty buckets. Clean everything up once you've applied and flattened the first coat of plaster, and then start again. Good tip. So, starting again. Got a new mix of plaster. What you do, same process, put it on your hawk, give it a swirl about, get a bit of plaster on there. And the reason we do this is so when we put the plaster on the hawk, take from the trowel, it don't just slip everywhere and ruin your nice trainers. Sure you're covered in plaster there anyway. Put a dollop on, we've got something to work to. So, nothing different. Let me get my hop up. Bad organisation. Starting from the top left across, nothing changes. Same process. Plaster, top left. And just really practice getting your motions in. Really get that motion right. Again, plaster, left side of the trowel. Opposite if you're left-handed, we're starting from the right. Again, plaster left side, corner of the room, come out. That's one trowel position to learn. And then again, now the opposite side, plaster on the right side of the trowel, coming to the top, sweeping down. That is another trowel technique to learn. It's a bit trickier, but it's needed. So, top, coming down. And you want to aim for a minimum a third way of the wall. That way when we're working in thirds you'll catch yourself, but the lower the better. I managed to come roughly about halfway. It's not necessary, I've been plastering for years, so aim for a third if you can. And then when we're coming up, we've got the other third to work with. Okay, again, we've done the top, left to right, starting in the middle. Now we're just going to do the same motion, bring it in from the left, sweep it in. Plaster's still nice and wet. Just take care around the back boxes. It's actually a bit proud, this back box, which means it's catching the plaster. So we're just going to have to take a time and go around it. Which is fine. Right, here's a good bit. Go into the bottom, sweep it up. We want to capture all that side. Trowel out any lines that you've left behind. Like I said, you can apply it in first if you want. Whatever you're comfortable with. So, finish putting the second coat on, then we're going to flatten that also, so I'm going to show you how to do that right in a minute. Plaster's on. Now again, same thing, we want to clean everything up. This time we're going to get rid of the mixing bucket, going to get rid of the hawk, we're going to get rid of the bucket trowel. All you'll be left with is your trowel and your speed skim, if you've got one, and your flexi trowels. So we can have a big clean up, make some space for yourself, and start looking at flattening this bad boy. Let's have a quick recap on what we've done. First coat's been put on, flatten that. Second coat's been put on, same process, we're going to flatten it. Now all we're concentrating on is getting this coat of plaster completely flat and smooth. We've applied all the plaster we need to, that's on the wall. Now our main job is just get this nice, smooth and flat. So I'm going to get my trusty friend again, the speed skim. Again, brilliant tool, easy to use, and it gets the wall very flat. So, again, really pushing in, and just getting rid of all them ripples, all them lines. Apply pressure if you need to. Start top left, I'm going to start again from here. Really pushing to get the lines and ripples out of the plaster. As you can see, it's getting it flat already. Nice and flat. Carry this on, and I'm going to work all the way across the wall, and then I'm going to show you exactly what to do after we've used the speed skim. Now if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel, it would mean the world to me if you did. It just shows, if you like it, that you're letting Google know and YouTube know that it's a good video, so I'd really appreciate that. We're about halfway into the process flattening this walls, and if you were asking what I'm doing with these reveals, this is actually my house and plastering right now. This is my new kitchen. Don't like a kitchen at the moment, but they've got to adjust these windows. Otherwise I would have shown you how to plaster these reveals, but unfortunately they're going to make some adjustments and I didn't want them coming in smashing up my work. So in this video we're not going into that, but if you subscribe to our channel, you'll be sure not to miss any content that's coming your way. So like I said, we're about halfway into it. We've just flattened the second coat. We've got the first trowel to do, second trowel, and then we've got 2 other stages. So I'll go into that. We've got to wait for the plaster to dry a little bit. So once you flatten it with the ox speed skim, give it 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to start troweling the wall completely nice and flat. So now we're going to start flattening this wall further. What you'll find when using a speed skim, it does leave a bit of indentation. It's because the blade is quite rough. But it's going to be the same process whether you trowel it or use a speed skim. Whatever way you're flattening the first or second coat with, we're still going to use the same process what I'm going to show you now. I forgot to mention with the tools, this is also a must. This is a water brush. This is a thick, big brush used for plastering. And what I'm going to do is you lubricate the plaster with the brush and water. So get yourself a bucket of water. Just clean water, doesn't need to be anything special. And then what we're going to do is clean the edges up. You put the water brush to the wall, and you trowel across. What this will do is it lubricates the plaster. So you scrape the plaster on the sides away. Using the head of your trowel, scrape it away. Take the excess, and I'm going to pull them corners in. And then use your water brush, brush the edges, and trowel outwards. Again, the exact same motion what we used to apply the plaster with. Keeping your trowel flat to the wall. We're just troweling that plaster flat. Grab your water brush and then wet your bottoms in and then come up. Come all the way up as high as you can. And what you're doing is you're angling the trowel, keeping the trowel close to the wall, and we're just pushing that plaster into itself. The harder the plaster gets, the flatter you're going to get it, but it also means more pressure you have to apply. So wet your trowel up, just really push that plaster into itself. Keeping your hands stiff, keeping that motion of the trowel the exact same, keeping the angle the same. We're just troweling upwards. Just forcing that plaster to get flatter and flatter. Do it from this angle. What you'll do is you'll collect fat. This is excess plaster that we're taking when we're ruling it off. When we're troweling it from the plaster, that's excess. If you've got any gaps or anything, put the fat on the wall, fill it in, and trowel it back into itself. This is the stuff we use when we've got holes or dinks. Fill it with the plaster you've just pulled off the wall. And you want to be doing this around now. This is the first trowel. And we haven't got too much longer after this really to start filling it in. After this point, the plaster's going to start setting. So if you have got any marks, any holes, any areas that haven't got a bit of plaster, take your fat, fill it in, trowel it in. So back again, bottom, go all the way up. We're making sure, I'm going to cut the excess plaster off the reveals, do that now. Pull them to one side, and then clean up the edges. Start getting the windows looking nice. If you trowel up the bead, it means we're going to fill any bit of left plaster behind, we're going to fill it in. Trowel up and across. So you just filling in the plaster now and starting to get not only flat, but you want to make sure there's no imperfections. If there is, fill them in now. So we've done the first real flatten, we're going to flatten it again, still using the same trowel. And the thing is, all I will say, as the plaster sets, it gets firmer, it gets harder. That's also when you start getting the plaster flatter and flatter. You'll only ever get a flat wall flat when the plaster sets. So as soon as you add water to the powder, chemical reaction works and the plaster starts to begin setting, its reaction starts. So as soon as you mix the plaster, you're under the clock. You're under a time limit. So what we're doing now is we are doing the second trowel. All we'll say is the harder it gets, the more water you want to apply. So just troweling across this time. Just going to mix it up, do a little cross trowel. And working the other way means that we're going to get our walls flatter and flatter. So keep your water brush lubricated and always look after your edges, make sure they're nice and sharp. We're just going to cross trowel across the wall. Just going to continue to get this wall nice and flat. Again, water. Water is key. Water's keeping it lubricated. It's allowing you to flatten the plaster. And the cross trowel means we're working against ourselves, which means we're going to get the plaster flatter as we go. So that was second to last trowel. Next we're going to whip out the Superflex trowel. And I'm going to show you a wet trowel. That's the penultimate stage plastering. I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, second last stage plastering. It's going to be the wet trowel, and this is where you whip out your flexi trowel. If you've got one, highly recommend you do. This is when you start to use it. This is a Nella Black Edition. This is a flexi trowel. It doesn't matter which one you can get. You can get the Rafina Superflex, which I highly recommend. Get the Ox Flexi trowel. Again, if you are interested in tools and which ones to use, sign up to our free welcome course, which I will talk about at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Well, anyway, this is very simple. It's called a wet trowel. It's called a wet trowel because we wet the wall. As simple as that. Grab your water brush, load it with water. What we're going to do is trowel a line from one end to another, work into your edges, and then trowel across. Another line just underneath where you've been. Trowel across. This water is helping it glide across the plaster. What we're doing is polishing it up, and we're also giving it that final flatten. If there is any imperfections and we're going to take it out, we're actually going to trowel it out completely with this trowel. So keep wetting your trowel up. It's important. Keep cleaning your trowel. Again, another line. Again, this plaster is very hard now. It's very tough. Which is why we're using so much water at this stage. Because we need to. This is a very simple part, but highly effective in getting your wall truly flat. Go all the way. You can see the results it's getting. We're just getting that wall really flat now. Keep wetting your brush up. And just keep going. See how low you can go. Now, again, when you're doing wet trowel, start from the top. I already did it from the top. I just want to stop the water from dripping down. If it's the other way around, and the water will come down. Carry on with the wall, and then next we've got the final stage. So this is the final stage of plastering. This is the final part. It's been a bit of a slog. If you're new to plastering, by the way, you probably didn't realise there were so many stages to getting a flat wall. This is where you can use a plastic trowel. Now you can use your flexi trowel or you can use your original trowel. It doesn't really matter, but I really like to use plastic trowel. I just find it gives it a better finish. It gives it a matte finish, which is ideal for the painters to work on afterwards, and it's just really nice to use. So I'm going to use this, which is a Rafina Plasiflex, and this just really finishes off the job. This is a dry trowel. That's because we're going dry. They were very creative, these plasterers, with the names, weren't they? It goes as high as you can. One more cross trowel, working from one end to another, and back on yourself. Nice ease. By this time the wall is pretty much dry. All you're doing is polishing it. This is purely for looks. It's nothing other than making it look a bit fancy. Just gives that final polish up. Again, focusing on a cross trowel for this. And that's it. Actually, it's not it. Now is also a good time to clean out your back boxes if you have anything in, whilst the plaster is still. Push it in, push it towards the box, empty it, get it away from there, and then bring your cables out. Bring them out, get them ready for the electricians, and then do that everywhere else. Nice empty back boxes, don't want to piss anyone off. So, that's it, the full process of plastering. I know it's been a bit of a heavy video. If you are brand new to plastering and you're just starting out, then I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said, please like and subscribe to this video, but as I've been banging on, you can also sign up to our free welcome course, which is essential for anyone who's starting out in plastering. It's email based. Like I said, every day we'll send you an email with a new video essential to you learning how to plaster. Straight away when you sign up, you get the highest viewed video I've ever made, which is another example of me plastering a wall in detail. So we'll also go through tools, how to mix the plaster, and lots of other subjects you'll need to tackle to start plastering. So you can sign up to that using the link below in the description, or there should be something that flies up around here around now. Click that. Please like, subscribe to our channel, and please, if you did like this video, leave your comments below. Ask any questions there. I read every comment on YouTube. Leave a comment and I will happily respond. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you do subscribe, I will see you on the next one. And you get plastering. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.